Welcome to the Bookers Alliance podcast, where we hold the pencil and the pencil is power. Coming at you right now is your host, Marky Mark, along with the man, the myth, the legend, Frank Donaldson. Join us as we discuss the ever-changing landscape of professional wrestling. So hang on tight, you jabronis, and enjoy the ride. Welcome in, everybody. Thank you for joining today's episode of the Bookers Alliance podcast. Come on inside the house, bring yourself up a ringside seat, get your popcorn, get your sodas, get your whiskey, get everything you need, because today's topic is about the transfer window.
All right, transfer window. So what are we going to do here? Remember, we did the draft a few months ago.
We did.
I know everybody out there remembers our draft episode. We got a lot of feedback on that. So I think it's time to revisit it now that the transfer portal is opened up here in WWE.
Yeah, we kind of did the old draft there right around when the NFL, was it the NFL draft?
Yeah, I think
or something else going on?
NBA, something like that.
We had something going on, so we did our own little draft of the men's and women's roster. So we're gonna dig into that today, see how we fared. See if there's any trades that we want to make.
Hey, transfer portal, baby. We're general managers over here now of our respective brands, so we got to do some negotiations.
Speaking of negotiation, we got to talk about our sponsor who negotiated a sweet deal for us.
Those are libations, sir. From what I'm understanding, these are heavy libations.
So let's talk about Wild Turkey, Jimmy Russell's 70th anniversary release. This is a bourbon that's been aged 8 years, coming in at 101 proof.
Who is Jimmy Russell?
Jimmy Russell is the creator, owner of the Wild Turkey.
Oh, Lord. Well, look at this.
So Jimmy Russell is, if you go out there and you see anything that's labeled Master's Keep when it comes to Wild Turkey or Russell's Reserve, these are actually the barrels that Jimmy picks himself and releases as the line. It's different from your standard Wild Turkey 101. It's usually from what they call the sweet spot of the Rick House, where the barrels seem to age the best.
All right. That's what Ric Flair used to offer too, the sweet spot of the Rick House.
So tonight, we'll cheers to Ric Flair.
All right. Woo! Woo!
101.
All right. Yeah, that was stiff.
Was Val Venis coming in the room? What happened?
I think let's talk about the women's draft there, or at least let's give it a few minutes until the Blue Chew kicks in. Sponsor of the week, Blue Chew.
So, all right, we got to talk about some news real quick. Some interesting tweets have been posted by the one, the only Corey Graves. And obviously, this is announcer territory. This isn't wrestler territory. But
is it though?
They are just as part of the storylines these days as anything else.
I heard rumors that one Corey Graves had gotten his injury situation looked at again, and maybe some things have changed since that happened. So looks like a road we must travel.
So here we go. So let's break this story down. So what happened? Well, Corey was kind of on the SmackDown announce team as lead announcer, doing pretty good. Next thing you know, here comes Michael Cole back into the picture, and Michael Cole and then Corey Graves is doing SmackDown while Joe Tessitore and Wade Barrett is doing Raw. Raw moves to Netflix. Michael Cole moves to Netflix. Pat McAfee, the great Pat McAfee, that's what we'll call him, came back into town from College Game Day, goes back with Michael Cole on the Raw podcast or the Raw show, moving Joe Tessitore and Wade Barrett to SmackDown, leaving Corey Graves odd man out.
I mean, so first of all, shout out to Pat McAfee. Well, let's go Mountaineers.
Let's go,
West
Pat.
Virginia Mountaineers.
Let's go, Pat.
Mountaineer in the house. Former punter, former all-star here, and myself, former punter in Pat's case, but okay. So, but I mean, let's be honest, right? I know Corey mentioned it in his tweet, but he knows just as good as we know. Pat McAfee brings a lot of different eyes to the product just because of who he is and the way he covers it on his show and things of that nature. You're not going to pass that up. You're not letting that go just because. If you've got the opportunity to work with somebody who's got 100 million followers, just like Logan Paul, just like, Bad Bunny, you're taking advantage of that opportunity.
So Corey got regulated to NXT and did not appear to be satisfied with that. You could tell he looked like somebody done licked all the good off his sucker. I mean, it was a bad deal all around.
Shout out to Carmelo.
All
right.
So you could tell he wasn't happy. And then this Monday night, Corey decides to take to Twix and post that he ain't happy. That he feels like, he's like, imagine this, you work your dream job and then get told that you can't do your dream job anymore. So you decide to do something dream adjacent, get effing good at it, and then have it taken away.
I mean, his words were that he wasn't popular enough.
Enough.
Again, does he have as many followers as Pat McAfee?
No.
Does he have the audience of, does he have the credence of Tessitore?
Calling a spade a spade. No.
So, I mean, so either one of two things was going to happen, right? Either somebody was going to get a 3-man booth or somebody was going to get let go. It's the basics of it are that. Every show had a 2-man team, right?
Right.
So either Booker, Wade Barrett, or Pat McAfee was getting let go. I could probably make a case for Wade Barrett, right? I could, being the lowest man on the totem pole, but he's been partnered with Tessitore this long. You're finally getting Tessitore to get in his groove. He's starting to get comfortable. He's starting to get strong in the product. Well, you don't flip the script on him now. You need him to continue getting better at his job. And so you're not going to bounce something new on him.
I really like Joe and Wade as a 2-man team. But here's the thing. I think what kind of aggravated a little bit and kind of pissed in his cornflakes a little bit, Booker said he didn't even know he was a wrestler at one point. And he said that live on air during the NXT broadcast. Now, you take somebody like Corey Graves, we just told you his backstory. We just told you what happened. He was a wrestler, got injured, couldn't wrestle no more, became an announcer, and was actually a pretty good announcer, right?
Yeah.
Even moved up to lead announcer, replacing Michael Cole, was good at that. Didn't miss a beat, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he feels like he's been stepped over. Now, come to NXT this week. Before NXT aired, he posted on Twix, I got a lot to say tonight. When it came time for NXT,
they sent his ass home.
Wouldn't know where to be found.
Well, they told me they say, you want to go talk free on our show? Well, how about you go talk free at your house?
Yep.
But I got something to point out about what you just said there about what Booker said.
Yep.
Do you remember? I don't know, 3 years ago. Let's say somewhere in that area. Before I think it was before the pandemic or right after they reopened after the pandemic.
We're about to talk about some heat and not Harlem.
Oh yeah,
ain't we?
Exactly. I remember when there was a 3-man booth on Raw, and Corey Graves and Booker T were both on that 3-man, and I can remember a lot of jabs being thrown across the table between Corey and Booker, right? Corey Booker, funny, ironic that I'll say Booker and Corey to keep, so we don't want nobody calling us. We don't need no, government agencies reaching out or none of that. So yeah, Booker and Corey used to throw a lot of jabs across the table at each other. And, I remember when Booker was relegated to NXT. Matter of fact, I think he was just sent home. I don't even think he went straight to NXT. I think he was just told, we don't need your services right now. And I remember him and Corey still having jabs, back and forth. And I remember everybody saying at the time, what's the point of all this? Because there's no payoff. It's not like we're getting in the ring. It's not like we're going to, all we're going to have is this social media war. And that's, you got two old guys, you got a almost 60-year-old guy, arguing around with a mid-40s, possibly even early 50s guy. What are we getting out of this? Where are we going with it? Well, now, let's say Corey's able to return back to the ring. Looks like I just saw Booker T return back to the ring, this past weekend in a match for his own promotion. And he's got his own little thing going. The Reality of Wrestling promotion is Booker T's homegrown promotion.
Yep.
And he just wrestled for it. Are we starting to see the angling to get announcers in the ring with each other here?
I think we're starting to see the beginning of something. I don't know what it is yet, but here's where I'm loving what's happening right now. It's to the point where we're talking about it out of everything else that's going on.
Yeah.
We're talking about this.
Uh-huh.
So this tells me that this is enough interest to go, huh? Look over to the side and go, wait, Corey? Where's this coming from, dude?
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden out of left field. You talk about Booker. Booker got back in the ring. Looked like he's trying to shake some ring rust off from being out, podcast land and doing this thing. And then Pat McAfee has also been known to get in the ring.
Who was that third announcer we just mentioned? Didn't he used to do a little something, in the square and circle every now and again?
Wade Barrett.
Yeah. And my understanding is he's retired, but he's not, out.
Could we be looking at a full weight dance at WrestleMania?
There's so much possibility to be, was squibbled around with. And none of it could happen, and we've been saying this a lot lately on the show because it's the fun of it.
Yep.
All of that sounds, intriguing. It sounds amazing. Hell, why not put Michael Cole? Michael Cole's undefeated at WrestleMania.
He sure is.
Why not put him in there?
Go ahead, Coal Miners. Go ahead, raise up.
Why not put him in that match and make him defend the streak?
That's it.
He make him defend the streak. He could be 2-0, or he could go down 1-1.
Or we could just have an announcer Royal Rumble.
I mean, hey, I don't know. Lillian could call it.
There you go.
We've got women that do this now, so
bring Bruce and Triple H out to the ringside.
There you go. Let them call the match. We know they ain't getting in the ring, so let them call the match, and then let the women do their thing. Let the guys do their thing. We could have 2 Royal Rumbles. I mean, anything could happen right now.
But what a good time and a good spot that we're in for the fact that A, we're talking about announcers, and B, we don't know if it's a shoot or a work.
So it's right in line with everything else they're doing right now. I mean,
it is.
So much, when The Rock came back, what was the first thing we said? Where's this going?
Yep.
And then we gave all these hypotheses and all that. Damn, the next night, it was all, it all may have went down the wash, or it all may have ignited all over again.
Yep.
The fact of it is, it's fun to talk about, but everybody can talk their own opinion. We can all bring a different aspect of how this could play out and all be wrong.
Yep.
That's amazing. I love it.
It's such a good thing to watch as we're building to WrestleMania. Nobody knows where it's going to lead. But, hey, if it is a shoot, the only advice I've got to Mr. Graves, sometimes you got to make lemonade out of lemons.
Hey, what were the 2 options I gave you earlier? You're either going to have a 3-man booth somewhere, or somebody's getting let go.
Yep.
If it's a shoot, we're going to lean into it's a shoot. If they were thinking, well, either those are the only 2 options, and then you put your foot in the shit over here like he just did, and if they decide to let somebody go, where are they going to look first?
Yep.
You're going to look at the guy jumping up and down, waving his hand, saying, look at me, look at me, look at me, when everybody else is saying, put your head down, go out there and do your damn job.
Yep.
So do you make a storyline out of it? Do you bring yourself intrigue, try and get more followers, or do you walk yourself right out the front door?
Does his story, and I know we got to move on to other topics, but does his story resemble anything about what Josh Matthews went through? Do you remember that? Do you remember what Josh went through?
So I don't think Josh went out for injury. I think he went out because he just wasn't that good. I mean,
but he got regulated to kind of like a backstage announcer, and
No, he went completely off the. Yeah, he
soured, and he wound up in TNA though.
He stated that's where he met his wife at Madison Rain. Him and Madison Rain got married there. Yeah, so that's where. But so. That was a different time, though, right? That was under the Vince McMahon regime. And just as good as I do, you don't buck up against Vince, because Vince will call you on your bullshit immediately and say, okay, well, hit the brick, go kick rocks.
Yep.
No problem. Vince looks at everybody as replaceable. Triple H, being more strategic or more cerebral, as JR would say, might look at it as, hey, let's angle it, let's use it.
Yep.
Or he may just say, you know what, we don't, we're not dying without you here. Sink or swim.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to swim. Guess what you're going to do? Either one could be an option, or it could all be a work and they're playing the hell out of us and we just wasted 20 minutes talking about it. Either way.
It's beautiful either way.
Right. Either way, it's fun for us. So, I mean, at the end of the day, that's all we need.
All right, let's move on to our topic. Let's talk about this transfer window, trade portal, whatever you want to call it. It's kind of just where they're starting to shake things up, and I'll be damned if I'm going to call it superstar shakeup, though.
Superstar shakedown.
No, we're not calling it that.
No, hell. That left with Vince, too, so...
All right, so do we want to...
So before we get it, do we got time to talk about all the Vince McMahon news from the past weekend?
Oh God.
Nah, we better table that till next
let's
time.
table that.
We'll let that develop a little bit more before we get into that, because that not being a storyline makes it way worse to be talking about and speculating on. So let's just let that simmer.
All right, so let's talk about this real quick. So we did a draft back in August, I believe it was, to where we talked about, we're going to draft from the men's side of the roster, the women's side of the roster, and we drafted our top 10, who would our picks be. So do we want to talk about the men's draft first or the women's draft first?
Let's talk about the women's draft first.
All right, so.
Nope, I changed my mind.
Table?
No, the blue shoe ain't kicked in yet. Let's talk about the men's draft first, because that ain't going to help the process none, but that'll give it time. That'll give the pill time to do its job.
All right, so here we go. So we're going to go back and forth just like we did snake draft wise, and I'm gonna run down who we did for the draft.
Who had the number one pick?
So your number one pick.
Damn, I drew the highest. I drew this long straw. That makes it. That tracks.
Your number one pick was throw your ones in the air for Mr. Roman Reigns.
I ain't backtracking on that pick. Yeah, I did right by that, and damn it, I stand by it today.
As a Cody crybaby, my number one pick was Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, this was definitely the summer of 24 here. Yep.
All right, your number two pick was Drew McIntyre.
That tracks. That stands.
My number two pick, the final boss, The Rock.
So, had we done this a month ago, I would have been like, ooh, you might have wanted to relook at that, because we haven't seen him since then.
Right.
But now that we're back in the thick of things.
WrestleMania season come back around.
Yeah.
All right, your number three, the Second City Saint, Mr. CM Punk.
Oh, yeah. Main event, just main evented the debut Raw on Netflix. Yeah. Strong.
My number three pick, the aerial assassin, Will Ospreay.
Wow. So you were the first one to cross the line.
I crossed the line and picked the guy who has arguably had at least 3 out of the 5 best matches of the year.
Well, as far as belts are concerned, he had 6 of the 5. So, I
mean. Your number 4 pick, I swear when I drive, Mr. Swerve Strickland.
Ooh, he went 4?
He went 4.
Ooh, Swerve's kind of fallen off since then. Damn, that's... so I would still pick him. No doubt I would still pick him, but I wouldn't have picked him 4, right?
But you know why he fell off? Because he ain't had a dance partner.
Well, that's booking.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they tried to finagle him in there with Bobby Lashley when they brought him in, and I think they realized that wasn't going to work. So now
he got finagled in there with Christian too, didn't he?
Somehow or another, he touched hands with Christian. He threw toilet paper at Ricochet. I mean, woo.
Yeah, now that is true. The last we saw him on TV, he was getting stabbed in the head with scissors by Ricochet.
Yeah, Ricochet cut it, tried to slice his head open. So, yeah, I wouldn't backtrack on the pick, but he wouldn't go 4.
Now, see, all you haters out there that think that Booker's Alliance crowd, all they do is talk about WWE. How would we know about Swerve and Ricochet if we weren't
watching? Yeah, we know what's going on. We're always aware. We just don't talk about it because it's not very good.
We might give it shit, but we watch it.
Exactly. We know what's going on.
I've watched many a paint dry on a wall.
Oh, yeah, we're watching all the product. We just don't talk about it when it ain't damn interested.
All right, number 5, your pick was Trick Williams.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's ready to come up to the main roster.
Just lost the NXT title. They're going to do whatever. I think by the Royal Rumble, we see him on the main roster anyway.
Yep.
Wouldn't be surprised to see him go to wherever Carmelo's at and reignite that feud, because those two guys do good with each other.
My number 5 was Seth freaking Rollins.
The co-main event of the debut episode of Raw on Netflix. So, yeah, you would think that was solid.
Number 6, you had Jey Uso, main event Jey Uso.
So, from what we're going through now, bump him to 4, bump Swerve down to 6. Because I short-sighted Jey Uso at that time. I still had, wherewithal to pick him, but I probably shouldn't have picked him after, like Swerve. Now, at the time, Swerve was the world champ. Swerve was riding high. Jey was just starting to really break out. But, yeah, those two guys have flip-flopped in position at this point.
My number 6 was Gunther.
So Gunther's still holding strong.
Yep, still holding strong. Your number 7, Solo Sikoa.
Whoa, the other tribal chief.
the used to be tribal chief.
Yeah, the old tribal chief. Okay, so I got a lot of O's. Now I can do this all day long, but hey, main event guy, right?
My number 7, Sami Zayn.
Also, in the same storyline. So
I think you are about to see Sami grab that first world heavyweight title.
Wow.
I think it's coming.
Wow.
I think it's
Now,
coming.
That's a prediction. That's a bold
I think it's
prediction.
coming. I think it's coming.
In NXT? I mean, he's been NXT champ, so he's had the world title before. So, yeah. I don't know. That might have been his glass ceiling. I'm not sure.
You're number 8, Bobby Lashley.
So,
Crickets.
so I mean, so at the time, exactly at the time, absolutely right, because at the time he was still going strong, and he was starting a program with the Street Profits. Everything was good. Since then, he moved over to AEW.
Yep.
With the turmoil at the top of AEW, you would think he'd have been sitting right up there. So you would think I'd be regretting that, like, oh, move him in the swerve spot. But holy hell, much like everybody else that comes from WWE, that's a high name talent. Lashley came in, made a big splash, and now all of a sudden, if I'm completely remembered, I think him and Shelton are getting ready to start a tag team.
Yep.
So that's when we bring Bobby Lashley in with a big time contract as for a tag team. Great.
My number 8 was Moose from TNA.
Wow. And I heard Moose just re-signed with TNA, which means we're not going to be seeing him on the main roster anywhere no time soon.
No,
but
I thought we might be getting a crossover. But hey, the Rumble season is still around the corner.
Rumble season is there. We could get so. I mean, there's still potential there, but I don't know. I feel like Moose is. I feel like his window's closing, right?
Yeah.
If he's gonna go to a main roster, if he's gonna get on mainstream
needs to
TV,
happen now.
Yeah, it better happen sooner before later.
You're number 9, Mr. L.A. Knight. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. So what had happened was,
I mean, in the summer, absolutely. But it ain't his fault, right?
No, it ain't.
Much like Snitsky would say, it ain't his fault.
So I'm a firm believer that somebody in WWE land heard what we had to say about LA Knight, about how it works best for him when he's chasing versus holding.
Yeah.
Because he's hot all of a sudden again, but he's also chasing.
Yeah. But when he was champ, I mean, shit, let's call a spade a spade. The same thing I've said about Cody's title reign all along, right? Finishing the story was an amazing story. Some of the best TV but hell, the after story is just kind of there. And
Mediocre.
Yeah. And I get it. What more can you do, right?
Yep.
You can't fight the Rock and Roman Reigns every week. Otherwise it means nothing. So he can't get to the pinnacle, but I don't know. The jury's still out on that.
All right. My number 9 was Damian Priest.
Ooh, wow.
So he's fallen off a little, but I also see where I think them breaking him away from the Judgment Day was a good decision.
Yeah.
I think them taking the title off of him was also a good decision.
Yeah.
I don't think it was doing him any favors.
Now, I think it exposed him a little bit.
It exposed him a little bit. Now, the pairing that he's all of a sudden had with the War Raiders.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, you got a couple of guys who could break through to that main event.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's so, we say it all the time, it's a bottleneck, and it's just full at the top right now. So, yeah, get him into something interesting, in that thick part of the bottle and let him work his way up. I'm not against that.
Let's go to number 10. Number 10, you had the Awesome Truth, which is no longer a tag team.
Damn, I picked those guys as 10.
You did.
What the hell was it?
Because that was your claim to fame. You got a 2-for-1 special.
I mean, damn. Sometimes, but sometimes you have buyer's remorse. Holy hell! Wow.
Touche.
I picked I wasted a draft pick on the Awesome. And don't get me wrong. I mean, R-Truth is still the funniest guy in wrestling, right?
He is.
And playing off of Miz is great. That works for him.
Yep.
But I don't believe I spent a draft pick on him. Well, let me see where you went with 10. Maybe we were just out of options.
So my number 10, had I had to do the draft all over, he wouldn't even be in my top 10, and that was MJF.
Holy hell! I think we both went more on emotion.
I think we did too. I think we went on hope.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely potential.
We went on potential.
I would say definitely potential.
But if you are really moving MJF into a program with Jeff Jarrett, oh my God.
That'll be, and is it just me? I mean, I know that, I know I got the new TV and all that, so I'm seeing things different than I've seen them before. But is it just me, or does nobody in AEW know how to spray tan?
Nobody does.
I mean, what in the hell?
They're about like Braun Breaker.
Good God Almighty! I mean, you don't get in the spray thing. I mean, hell, you don't have to cover up nothing, right? Just get in there.
Brian Cage used to be the worst.
Oh yeah, I mean hell, because
Now
some of
he
his
done-
would turn purple.
Now he
and-
done grew a beard and changed his hair, and I almost didn't even recognize him.
yeah, now he looks like Karrion Kross.
He does.
And it's like, damn, somehow or another, those two guys need to find each other because they're a match made in heaven for a tag team.
Yep.
Because they're both damn. I mean, they got great looks. For some reason, completely stay unknown.
Yep.
Ooh.
All right, so let's talk about a trade. We're talking about transfer portal.
All right.
Window right here. So I'm going to pick somebody from
So first, I
your
want to send you the awesome truth. You give me whatever you want.
Hell no.
Okay.
Trade rejected.
Damn,
Done.
it was a good damn shot. But, wow.
All right.
Guys,
so,
y'all bamboozled me. Y'all swerved me.
So who I'm going to go after from your roster if I want to transfer over to my side, I'm going to go for the main event, Jey Uso, because I feel like he is on the cusp of breaking into that whole just undeniable like Cody Rhodes. He's there.
I mean, he's got a world title shot coming up on Saturday night's main event soon.
Yep.
But holy hell, he's the guy with my most potential, right? Everybody else I got is either already established or ain't getting there, right?
Yep.
That's what my roster looks like right now. They're already top guys or they'll never be top guys.
So-
Jey Uso is that only potential. So I mean, you're going to have to come with something heavy on
So
that one.
you talking about top guys? I've got the top guy,
Who is that? Because this is
the-
going to have to be a damn good offer.
the mountaintop, the director of
Jeff, are you offering me Jeff Jarrett, King of the
No.
Mountain?
the final boss, The Rock, is on.
Oh,
the
wait a
roster.
minute. Hold on. Now, we can talk about this now. Hold on. Chips are on the table now. Because what I just say, all my stars are already either established or they're never going to be established. Ain't nobody more damn established in wrestling today than The Rock.
The Rock.
Trade accepted.
Okay, thank you.
No,
Thank
no
you.
more negotiations
Thank you.
needed.
Welcome.
Trade accepted.
Yeet.
Absolutely. If you smell.
All right, let's move on to the women's side.
Let's move
Here we
on.
go.
Blue Chew done kicked in. I'm ready to rock.
All right, here we go. Women's draft. So we did the snake draft. So I had the number one pick of the women's draft.
Okay.
I picked the nightmare Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, shit. That's standard.
Yeah.
Don't look
Yeah.
like you went wrong on that.
No, and that's the hottest female act right now in the WWE. Rhea Ripley.
By far.
They released a behind the scenes of the Netflix episode, the first Netflix episode. The Rock had an encounter with Rhea Ripley backstage, gave her a hug, and looked at her and actually said, "Thank you for helping to carry the company."
Absolutely. I mean, as far as
she's getting respect.
for the same way Rock said that about Cody, I mean, Rhea's done the exact, and Rhea's struggled through 2 injuries
Yep.
since WrestleMania, since Rock left.
Yep.
And now here we are 6 months, 8 months, 10 months later. And I mean, she's right back where she was before. Like she never missed a step.
Yep.
Holy hell.
You're number one. Woo, Charlotte Flair.
Wow. So we haven't seen her since, hell, long before the draft.
She's been out for almost a year.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely in a year. She could have had one of those babies by now, but I'll be completely honest though. I mean, 14-time women's champ. I'm not going to relent off that pick. That's still a solid number.
I don't
one.
think you should.
No,
I
that's
don't
still a
think you
solid number one.
Number two for me, Jade Cargill.
So reverse what I just said, and let's take it. So everything I just said about what I went through with Charlotte would probably be what I would say in the reverse for you.
Here's what I think's going on with Jade Cargill. Is she injured?
I don't think.
I don't think so either.
Maybe her pride.
Maybe. Have they taken her back to the PC
100%.
and just refining and just retooling some of the little intricacies that they saw?
100%.
Here's where you need to get better. Here's what you need to change.
100%.
I think that's what's happened with Jade.
100%. But let's speculate a little bit. Who else is at the Performance Center working on a comeback right about now?
Woo, Charlotte Flair.
If you're going to have somebody like Jade Cargill work with a
damn
taller,
straight.
stronger woman and show her how to work,
Only makes sense.
who the hell else better?
Only makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And if they work good together, maybe we see them again at WrestleMania. Oh, but
And if that comes out and is true, you can thank the Booker's Alliance for that.
if that comes out as true, they should call us for some agency booking because yeah, we got this.
All right, you're number two, Bianca Belair.
Yup.
Yeah,
Yup.
there's ain't no denying that.
Because she carried Jade through her struggle moments. And
She just
still shining.
KOD'd Nia Jax.
Well, what? There's some men that couldn't have done that to Nia Jax. But yeah,
Exactly.
come on.
My number three, your new women's Intercontinental Champion, Lyra Valkyria.
Solid.
Solid.
Can't
pick.
go wrong with that.
That. Look, I hope you guys see what I see in her, because when I see her work in the ring, I see Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, she's a purist.
She's a purist. She's technical.
She's got the gimmick. You know, she does the whole wings and all that stuff. But in the ring, she's a purist.
Yep, and I love it. But
you can't go wrong with it.
It's so different from any other the women that's out there right now.
Exactly. And we know it from every other wrestling that no matter what you do, you got to have a worker.
Yep.
We just had Penta, completely off topic. We just had Penta debut on Raw last week, right? This week. Could have shit the bed, right?
Yep.
But you put him in there with Chad Gable, a worker.
Yep.
He made him look like magic. And we've seen Penta in main events at TNA. We've seen him wrestle all over the globe. We've seen him wrestle in AEW.
Yep.
I ain't never once seen him look as good as he did on Monday night. And that had nothing to do with producing and all that other. It was his dad's partner.
When have you ever seen Chad Gable work a Mexican luchador type style?
That's
Never.
Totally not it. He's an Olympic wrestler. Yeah. He only knows mat wrestling, but does he?
Look, inside baseball, he even worked the right side of the body to be Mexican luchador style.
And that's why I said, you know, we say he only knows Olympic style wrestling, but I say, does he?
Yeah.
Looks like he can kind of do whatever you need him to do if you give him, when they probably give him 3 days to prep for that.
Yep.
Feel like Chad sat down, looked at some tape and said, all right, let's go. And we got magic.
Your number 3 pick, according to CM Punk, took her ball and went home.
Uh-oh.
Becky Lynch.
Wow. So definitely not number 3 now, right?
Yeah.
There's somebody I'm thinking of right now. Blonde, cute, happy. Yep. I'm sorry. I forgot we were doing the draft.
He went back to fantasy land.
Right. I was just thinking out loud. It had nothing to do with the draft, but I would probably bump her up to that spot only because we don't even know what's happening with Becky right now. Yep. You know, from what Seth has said on Chris Van Vliet or whatever, she's doing her own thing. She's completely removed from the wrestling business at this time. So spending the number 3 at that point with that much, you know, wiggle room to move around with was great. Yep. 6 months later, maybe would have rethought that.
Moving on to number 4. My number 4 was Julia Hart. Obviously, Julia had to take some time out. She got injured.
Yeah. Wait, who's she dating?
Who is she dating?
I don't remember now. I'm thinking, I'm going to let that go. I don't want to put nothing out there that doesn't need to be out there.
So with Julia coming back, Julia's got a hard road ahead of her because I think there's some changes happening in the House of Black. I think, you know, it's being reported.
Well, yeah, I think the Black's leaving.
It's been reported that Malachi Black is out and heading back to WWE.
Yeah, so now that the House of Hart and Natalia's going to have a little problem with that. So,
your number 4 is Tiffy time.
Oh, hell.
Tiffany Stratton.
So if I don't bump that other cute blonde girl that I'm thinking of up, I should be bumping Tiffany up. Tiffany at this stage could have been the number 1.
Yeah.
I mean, without Charlotte being available week in and week out, and what Tiffany's done over the last 6 months could have been number 1.
So her rocket ship started a year ago at Elimination Chamber in Australia.
Yep.
When you had an Australian crowd chanting Tiffy time to the top of their lungs.
That's they fell in love with her, and that I think everybody in the back had to take a second look like,
Yep. All right, number 5. Got to move along. Number 5. Number 5 is interesting picks for the both of us. Number 5, my pick was Mercedes Moné.
Ooh,
I regret that pick.
Yeah. I mean, she's a 4-belt champ right now. So, she's Sasha 4 belts, for Lord's sake. You can't be regretting that pick.
There is anybody that I have ever thought about changing the channel on when I see them come out for a match, it is currently Mercedes Moné.
2 years ago, would you have said that?
No, hell no.
2 years ago, even when she was on her downward slide of WWE, she was still must-watch TV.
Everything that made Sasha Banks great, it seems like she has just forgotten.
It's gone.
It's like she had amnesia. She's a different person. I don't know what has happened.
Unfortunately, maybe it was never there.
Maybe it was smoke and mirrors.
Maybe they were pulling it out of her.
You're right.
Or, you know, and they were feeding her, and now you don't have anybody to directly feed her, and now we're just getting what she really would be. Yep. Unfortunately, that's all I could think.
Now, you're number 5, Britt Baker.
Ooh. Same swimming pool, right?
Yeah, that's why I said number 5 for both of us.
So we're gonna go the same way I went with about the MJF. I think that was more based on emotion.
Yeah,
I think we were like
or lust.
Well, that's what I mean by emotion at this point. I don't mean emotion like, man, I really want her to succeed. No, I just really want her.
You just want her.
In stop, hard stop.
That's why she was on your list.
No more needs to be said.
Moving on, number 6. I'm going to stay with this pick, Natalya. I think the reason why I picked Natalya is because of it's not what she does anymore on TV. It's what she's giving to the WWE behind the scenes.
Yeah.
She is their go-to when it comes to, hey, can you pass the test?
Yeah.
She's the litmus test.
I think at the time you said that she was the stability you needed in the locker room. She was that grounded force. And I mean, yeah, she's always going to be that.
And I'll stick to that. Your number 6 was Bayley.
So Bayley, welcome back to NXT, Bayley. Time to go.
I saw her step out and get in Roxanne's face.
Yeah. So my thinking, though, is when I watched that happen, Corey Graves, take notes, right?
Yeah.
Like,
take notes.
I mean,
Take
NXT
notes,
in purgatory.
Or Roxanne, welcome to the main roster because you're about to interfere in Bayley's match.
And that's exactly what it is. It's NXT ain't purgatory. Sometimes you got to, move stuff around and see what can happen.
Number 7. The brand new women's U.S. champ for me, Chelsea Green.
Wow. So, yeah. looking back at some of those missteps I took there, I think we were underestimating Chelsea. I think we saw the potential because we picked her.
Chelsea, I never underestimated you, girl.
But I feel like everybody in August of last year was still underestimating. I don't think they saw where it could go yet.
It wasn't until Money in the Bank that happened in July when I saw it.
Yeah, that's when it opened up.
Her performance of Money in the Bank, it triggered.
And I think just throughout the end of the year, it just kept compounding until she was undeniable.
Everything she did with Piper, and then the Nashville street match that she had with Mia,
dumpster match.
Yep. So that whole thing there. You're number 7. Kabuki Warriors. Yeah, they're not even on TV anymore, sir.
Kabuki Warriors?
They're not even on TV right now, sir.
So I think they're not on TV because I think Asuka's on her way back, and I think they're trying to prep that whole thing.
They are both injured, sir.
Yeah, they had a bad year. So I mean, the fact that I'm seeing Chelsea Green having gone right before, that may have been like an impact pick. Like, ooh, well, I just lost.
Need a 2-for-1.
I need a 2-for-1. Yeah.
Number 8 for me was Nia Jax. What a year Nia had.
Damn, So yeah, this Kabuki Warriors definitely could have been a Nia Jax pick.
Yep. Nia got the Queen of the Ring. Nia became women's champ.
Nia probably had her best 6-month run
in her
entire career.
One of the best matches I ever seen Nia put on was with Naomi on SmackDown.
Absolutely.
She was part of the cash-in that Tiffy had.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Nia had a year.
Yeah, she had a damn good year.
Your number 8, Liv Morgan.
Now we're picking. Business is about to pick up, as JR would say. 'Cause now I'm back on the board. Now, she should have been up around Becky's pick.
Yep. I think with Liv Morgan, I think you underestimated her. But we gotta move on to number 9 and number 10. Number 9 for me, Ivy Nile. I think that was still a good pick. I think there's still untapped potential.
Yeah, you gotta be.
Yep. Number 9 for you, Trish Stratus.
Score. So, regardless of what she's doing in or out of the ring,
she was in that fitness magazine.
Exactly. Regardless of what she's doing in and out of the ring, she needs to be on my roster at all times.
Number 10 for me was Alexa Bliss, who is rumored to be days away from returning.
Yeah, that's what I heard. But we've talked a lot about injuries and gone aways in this part of the episode, and she's another one of them. I miss her though.
Your number 10, Io Sky.
So Io, the only Kabuki Warrior still standing.
She was never a Kabuki Warrior, sir. She was damage control.
That's all Kabuki Warrior. When they bought in Kairi Sane, that was basically an extended Kabuki Warrior.
Kabuki is Kairi and Asuka.
Well, yeah, but when Asuka went down, who
is no longer there.
Who'd they slot into Asuka's spot when Asuka went down? It was Io Sky. So she's a Kabuki.
She's
Warrior
an honorary Kabuki Warrior.
Exactly. So yeah.
All right. So transfer portal.
We got to make, we
talk trade.
Please make some trades. I need a trade to go.
We got to talk trade. So for me, dude, I'm coming for the jugular with your roster. I'm coming for Tiffy.
Dude,
I'm coming jugular. I'm going for Tiffy.
So
I've got.
I know you're not going to let me start up at the top, but I mean, I'm thinking 2-for-1 on that deal.
Okay.
Or you're going to have to sweeten the pot.
Okay. What we got? What's
so
your offer? Counter officer.
I mean, so I just made a hard play for Chelsea, right?
You did.
I mean, so that's title for title. So I'm looking at it like that's almost even, but mine is a world champion. Yours is a mid card because you like the mid card.
Sure.
So I mean, I need one of those injured people to come on with it. So, you know, I remember hearing you mention Jade Cargill, and you were really seeming to regret that. But I feel like I could make something out of her. So I mean, if you throw her on in, I might be able to initiate that trade. We may be able to charge that one to the game.
So we're talking Jade and Chelsea for Tiffy.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's fair.
Would you throw in Trish Stratus?
Ooh, God. I mean, dude. So, but I get to keep Liv, right?
You get to keep Liv.
Yeah, I could probably do that because I mean, we're probably not seeing Trish no time soon this year. So, and she'll always live in my mind. So I mean, she's rent free in there. So there really isn't a need to have her on the roster. So yeah, I could do that.
Okay, good.
Got a
I
deal?
see Trish. We got a deal. I see Trish in the Rumble.
All right, well, I'll go along with seeing her there. But like I said, remember she's living rent free in my mind.
All right, Tiffy and Trish for Jade and Chelsea.
I'll take that. Just lock it in.
Lock it in.
Send
All
it
right.
in. Just send it in, Popsky.
All right, so we're gonna have to after we get in after WrestleMania season is all said and done.
Yeah.
Might be time to do another draft.
Revisit sometime, maybe around June.
Yeah.
Check in and see where our people are at.
Okay. All right.
This might be a 6-month thing that we have to revisit every 4 to 6 months.
Speaking of months, do you realize, sir, that we have been at this show now we've been 2 years in. We are beginning our 3rd year of this show.
Yeah, or as you said before we recorded,
That's our third anniversary, damn it.
Which I'm like, well, wait a minute. You have to have a 1-year anniversary to get to a first anniversary.
It's me, Oos, day one.
I mean, you were definitely day one for it because you were like, damn, this is our 3rd anniversary. And I'm sitting here like, well, hell, the math says 1, 2.
So here's what I propose, sir. We did our trades. We coexisted. We didn't argue too much until next week's episode. But for now, let's cheers to the beginning of our 3rd year, sir.
We got a little bit left. We can still cheers it in. All right. To many more.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to today's episode.
And thank you for giving us all these episodes for 2 years now.
Absolutely. We appreciate everything you guys do. Reach out on the social media platforms. Drop us a line. Tell us what you think. And with that, everybody, we bid you adieu.
So is next year like our 5th anniversary, or how do you see that?
No, next year will be at least at the strip club for the anniversary.
Nice play.
Today's podcast was produced by SBP. You can find our podcast on all major podcast platforms. Also, connect with us on our social media accounts. Search for The Bookers Alliance on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X.